Hello and happy Thursday. Welcome to another episode of the Ranger Football Report. My name is Noah Casa.
I'm Joel Geist.
And we are back for the season cap podcast after our last regular season game against the Stillwater Ponies. And then we will be looking on in the playoffs and giving you our opinions and way too early predictions on how that bracket's going to break down.
Super early hot takes.
Correct.
That are still going to be a hot take, but are more lukewarm now.
Right now, yeah.
So,
well, to start out, I got to toot my own horn just a hair.
Toot toot. All right, let's hear it.
Even though my week of prediction was wrong, I said we were going to beat Mounds View.
Yeah.
But I was 100% on the preseason podcast on my record. I said Mounds View was going to be the one loss. We were going to go 7-1.
Right.
So that's you got to brag about your lines earlier in the season. That's my one brag for the season.
Well,
I predicted it 100%.
Well, we both actually predicted the record.
Correct.
I believe I was 7-1 as well. I said we were going to dump a game in weather, which wasn't actually the case. But we were both 7-1, which we thought were super huge homer takes. And Caleb agreed.
We did it.
Caleb agreed that it was a super huge homer take. But
looking at records for the rest of 6A, like we've been talking about all year, it's real hard to go undefeated in 6A.
Yeah,
Maple
absolutely.
Grove was the only surviving undefeated team by the end of the year. So
Minnetonka
lost twice.
Yeah, Minnetonka lost twice. They were one of the sole survivors.
But yeah. Which, from what I heard last week during the bracket reveal, Minnetonka will have their quarterback back for playoffs.
Ooh.
So Minnetonka will be back to being a powerhouse and somebody that you got to watch out for. However, I don't believe. We'll get into that later. Right now, let's focus on Stillwater.
All right, so Forest Lake Rangers had a big bounce back. Big bounce back after
in the worst way.
Absolutely.
Going into the playoffs.
It was it was a must win game in order to get the 1 seed. And because Woodbury still had a shot.
It was a long shot, but they had a shot.
It was a long shot. They still had a shot to do it. But it was a must win going in there. You can't just lose 2 and go into the playoffs. And I mean, not only that, but they worked all season really, really hard for, your to try and go undefeated. Not only that, but to have a points differential that was so high and have a great shot at getting a number 1 seed. And right now, when you look at the brackets, which we'll get into later again, Stillwater was a very important game. And like when we go over the brackets, like there is a huge difference between where we would have been, win or lose, what made a huge difference where we are in that bracket. So right away, I think we came out and played really well in the beginning. It was a bit of a closer game in the first half. A lot of great plays made on defense. The defense, I think the biggest thing to walk away from that game with was our defense is top notch and pretty much dictating the pace and the flow of the game starting right away. And that kind of fell off a little bit against Mounds View right away. They kind of got on their back foot like, oh man, we're already down 7 and we didn't even have our defense on the field, with that punt return for a touchdown. But this week they got on track and a number of players. I mean, Cullen Christensen had a number of tackles for a loss again.
Keep rolling.
Howie had a sack. There's a number of plays that were made by the defense there that really just stifled everything that Stillwater was trying to do.
Yeah, no, Howie and Cullen added to their totals. They're still leading 6A, 1 and 2, as far as tackles for loss goes. And I mean, Howie is still sitting in, what was he, second in?
I think he was like third. Yeah.
Tied for second. in sacks.
Oh, yeah.
With
tied for
Logan
second.
Myers of Eastview.
Actually, it'd be tied for third because first is tied as well. So,
yeah.
1, 2.
But yeah, so the defense just kept on rolling. They gave up a couple of plays in the passing game, but overall did not fall apart like we saw in Mounds View. I think going forward, that's going to be the one spot that I continue to have a churning in my gut for until I can be reassured and kind of regain my trust in our pass defense. Because, I mean, was it? I forgot his name. The receiver for Stillwater.
Oh.
He had himself a day.
Yeah.
Zoller.
Yeah.
7 receptions for 121 yards and a touchdown. Zoller was all over the place, and he was finding the open zones and sitting down and getting open. There were a number of third downs in that game that were third and longs, and all we had to do was stop them, and it was like clockwork. They'd find Zoller somewhere across the middle for a first down or way out on the edge. So I think just tightening up the secondary a little bit but overall, it hasn't mattered a whole lot this season because the quarterback has barely had time to throw the ball, depending on who we're playing.
Well, see, and that's the thing. You get into the tackles for a loss, and I've talked about this in the podcast and during the game as well, that this is a big play defense. It's a bend but don't break big play defense, which kind of doesn't really make sense if you just think that, either they give up on no, they don't give up big plays. Just keep everything in front of you. Eventually your defensive line is going to pick you up. Cullen Christensen, Howie Johnson, Nate Schleif, Andrew Johnson, AJ Wiley, all of those guys on the front line, eventually they're going to get to the quarterback. If you can just keep everybody in front of you and, 5-10 yard plays, let's just say out of 12 plays, if you have a 12 play drive, 2 of those are going to be tackles for loss. And one of them is really going to put you behind the sticks.
Yeah.
So it's a situation where if you can keep everything in front, 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, that doesn't really hurt you. If you think about it like, you just got to run it 3 times and, you got a first down almost guaranteed. Not exactly, because you have to run it 3 times to get 5 yards. You're getting 15. And then eventually the percentages weigh out where you're going to get a huge tackle for a loss.
Or a holding call on Howard.
Right. Or a holding call. Now you're sitting at 1st and 20 or 2nd and 20. When you get really behind the sticks like that, then this defense, it just starts to roll on you because now all the defensive line can really, they can kind of over pursue a bit. And that was one of the problems. They had a screen pass that they did complete, for when they were in a tackles for loss, they kind of over pursued and the linebackers kind of didn't really stay home. And that happened in the Mounds View game too. The over pursuit was a little bit of a problem, but I think that you can easily shore that up by just like, hey, linebackers, if you're seeing that everybody is just getting let by, you need to stay home.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, as far as explosive plays, which in my mind, an explosive play is like a single play that results in a gain of like over 20 yards that I can think of off the top of my head. I think Force Lake had, we let maybe 10 happen the entire season, which if you think about how many we've gotten,
yeah,
it's a vastly different number. And I think 3 or 4 of those 20-yard big plays happened during the Mounds View game, which was just kind of a complete collapse for our team in general. Other than that, I mean, there were the couple big passes during the prior late game. Zoller had one this last week, but then the rest of them that I can remember were all against Mounds View.
Right.
So, yeah, our defense has done a very good job at, we give up a first down on 3rd and 5, but we haven't been getting beat deep.
Yeah.
And we're not we're tackling well enough to where we're not having Mac style runs come from the opposite line of scrimmage.
We are playing we will let you matriculate defense.
Yeah.
So you can matriculate yourself down the field, just get down the field a little bit, using a Hank Stram quote from a long time ago. Basically, you're just walking the ball down the field, but eventually this defense stops that from happening, puts you in a really big hole, and then
it's always on the edge of that high school like field goal yardage too, of like you're not going to kick a field goal from there, so you have to go for it, but it's not where you want to go for it.
And then that also compresses the field a little bit more. So, your safeties can cheat a little bit more one way or the other. Also, it's easier for them to recover because they're not as far back. They're not covering deep. So they don't have to really worry about covering deep because like once you cross the goal line, it doesn't matter. I don't have to protect beyond that.
Yeah.
So it's something where you can try and keep everything in front of you and easily recognize, what quadrant of the field the ball is going to and send everybody there. So it's kind of a thing where we'll let you have this, let you have this, let you have this. And then slowly that it just, the field getting smaller and smaller strangles your offense into what they can actually accomplish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that going just strictly off the Stillwater game, we saw a team that, they were not afraid. That was one big thing that I was looking at going into the Stillwater game is Stillwater more and more has become more and more of a passing team throughout the last couple of years. Last year they had one of the best quarterbacks in the state. And so I was worried about is the secondary going to kind of roll over after last week? How are they going to come out, especially if they get attacked right away? And Stillwater's first drive was 3 consecutive passes. All 3 went incomplete.
Yep.
All 3 with decent coverage. They had to punt right away. And then they started they really didn't get an offensive drive going until they ran the ball a bit. And they were getting 5-10 yards a carry. But then a penalty, a big tackle for loss because Cullen's out there playing unselfish defense and letting everybody else clean it up underneath. Stillwater quickly got into that hole that we were talking about. And yeah, the defense, I have 0 complaints about the defense last week. And the offense, not a whole lot to complain about there either.
There's some things that I would have liked to see that, better executed out of the offense. We had Durago definitely had that big run. And that is one of the biggest things that I really want to see going forward is because last week in Mounds View, we kind of went away from that Durago run up the middle.
Yeah.
Where Mac was kind of taking that role. And, Mac is a great ball carrier. And it's just a situation where you have running back A, running back B. A is really good at this job. B is really good at this job. Mm-hmm. You can run them. You can have them be in at the same time because Durago is basically a blocker for Mac on the outside. And it's just harder. Essentially, it would make Durago's up the middle runs a little bit harder because most of the time he's in the backfield when that happens. But I would like to see something where you're just shifting late, where Durago comes back into the backfield late. And he still is in that spot where, hey, I can just do a power run up the middle. And then he's out on the outside blocking for Mac. And Mac is great at finding the hole, getting that quick 5 yards. Stillwater played Mac really tough.
They played I think the biggest thing that Stillwater did is they paid attention in film and watched that speed option, and they had a counter for that, a lot like Mounds View did. And they shut that down, and in doing so, kind of shut Mac down. I mean, he only finished the game. Last week was one of those weird weeks that Mac still somehow had 120 yards against Mounds View, and it made 0 sense. But this week, Mac only had 61 yards on the ground. He had a touchdown. But I think that that's just because they kind of started keen on Mac.
Well, they shut down. More. They put an extra edge out there. Yeah. Their corners were crashing hard.
Yep.
So you had your outside backer out there and your corner crashing the side that once they see the going to it. That's a situation where, maybe a reverse dialed in. And there's probably a lot of stuff that like, hey, we're not going to run this against Stillwater. Like right before the playoffs,
base offense.
We're going to try and go as base as possible. But a couple of things that I would like to see out of that is maybe a couple of changes in formation. So when Durago gets the ball, it's not, hey, screaming red flag, he's going to get the ball. Like you don't have anything coming in from the sidelines right away. Like you can't get any cues from your coach that they're going directly to Durago, or he can't recognize that this is going to be Durago's play. Like he has to recognize it late within 5 seconds and you can't change it. Like, so, motion outside of the backfield and then go and set up in the backfield. For Durago, that would help quite a bit. Connor did a really good job on basically the drop backs, seeing a hole, picking up 5-6 yards and getting positive yardage out of that. How much?
He made a fantastic toss to Savaggio as well.
Right. But yeah, Connor had average 4.6 yards a carry. And a lot of that was just like, hey, I need to get positive yards out of this play. Everybody's covered. Or you know what? I'm just hanging on to this because they're gonna absolutely just crush Mac right away. And that was one thing that on that slower pitch, Connor was getting caught up to on the backside quite a bit because they were pulling that backside tackle and leaving that edge rusher free. So they were kind of keying on that, like, hey, if your guy leaves, you're sprinting right towards the quarterback, because there was about 2 or 3 plays that Connor almost got caught from behind on that pitch.
Yeah, and another thing they were doing to counter that was they were not walling up and letting Connor pitch the ball. Right. Connor was getting punished after every single time he pitched that ball. So I think that's another thing. It goes to show just Connor's mentality and his toughness to get up and just keep rolling with the punches. But yeah, I mean, he got smacked up a bit, and it's encouraging to see a quarterback that can take that kind of punishment and still peel himself up off the turf and go out and run the exact same play again and again and again with the same exact consequence and not ever get timid about running it.
Right.
And yeah, I think that's going to serve us well going into playoffs, as long as he stays healthy through those hits.
Well, I think the biggest thing is I do think that it was kind of stripped down, like strip the offense down to its gears and just run, just because we didn't pass the ball very much. It was
we threw the ball.
I think it was a very like, hey, let's protect the lead kind of game.
Get everybody out of here healthy.
Right. Let's try and not put a whole bunch of stuff on tape right before the playoffs as far as what everybody can do. This bounce back game for Stillwater was super important. We didn't want to throw, not that Connor Johnson has thrown that many picks, but like if you're going to let a team back in, that's the easiest way to do it is through turnovers. And Mac, Durago, both of those guys have been very good at not turning the ball over in the running game. And, it's super, I would say it's a lot safer, just to say, hey, if the running game's working, we're just going to go with it and go with your death taxes and Force Lake is going to run the ball theory.
Yeah.
So that's a situation where, you're only passing 94 times the entire season. But only 5 of those came in one game last week. So, you're definitely about 5 or 6 passes below the average, that you do. And, there was, what was it? Was it the Park game? I think it was the Park game where we had like 12 or 15 pass plays.
Yeah,
that
we were
passing.
Park or Woodbury. We were tossing the rock, that's for sure.
And I think that was more so just to get Connor into those games weren't.
We're going to need to throw the ball at some point, so
right.
We might as well throw it now.
They weren't in question. So in a situation like this, I really liked what Brad did as far as, keep the ball on the ground, keep it safe, give it back to the defense. And, the defense scored too. Colin Christensen, as far as I had brought this up a couple of weeks ago, as far as Colin Christensen playing one of the least selfish defensive plays.
Yeah, if anybody deserved a touchdown.
If anybody deserves a touchdown, it was Colin, because he basically comes up on the edge, stops the runner cold, and like him and Howie are tied in tackles for a loss, but Cullen's got at least 4 or 5 of them that haven't been his tackles because he wasn't the one making the tackle, but he was the one that stopped the ball carrier cold. Hey, I'm right here and you are not getting past me, but somebody comes up, like either it's somebody from the backside edge that's coming across.
Coming in like a missile.
Right, yeah. Or a corner, Westman came in on one of them. So it was a situation where I was super happy to see Cullen get, because actually Cullen's normal spot where he comes in, does the stand, posts up, the running back that was getting the toss was staring right at him. So Cullen actually caused the fumble, even though he didn't touch it. Just where he was, he had made penetration, got on the edge, and the running back was running full speed towards him as he's trying to catch a pitch, and he sees Cullen right there, ready to light him up. And then the ball just goes right past the running back. Cullen's right there, grabs it, scoops it, touchdown, boom. Perfect. And just that play that we've seen multiple times, that's one where, hey, that exact play, how you play that every time, now you're getting into hey, this is what can happen. So now the next time that running back is going to pitch to that side, he's going to be thinking about that too. And that's there's a whole bunch of teams that are going to see all 5, 6, 7 of those plays that Cullen's just standing right there every game. Like, you got to watch this guy because he is a great open field tackler. And, they have to make a decision right away. And if they don't, they are absolutely dead in the water.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you got anything else to talk about with Stillwater, or do we want to move on to bracket talk?
Once again, I will give a big shout out and big thanks to Stillwater crew. They're always great when we go there. We
didn't get turned away at one game this year.
That is true.
We got to bring you all 8 games.
Also, great bleachers at Stillwater, super high, way better vantage point. And a big thanks goes out to the Forest Lake Ranger faithful who showed up in droves. Packed house at Stillwater. Great game every time we go out there. Great venue.
Thanks for Brian for coming to film.
Yeah, Brian, thanks again. Great job. Also, everybody that tuned in. We had new
high scores.
High score. And I read it back. I didn't really read it correctly when we were on the field, but it was IB Dragon that was who put it up. I was Alex's grandmother. So IB Dragon from Venice, Italy. You are now the
farthest mileage watcher,
farthest tuner inner.
Yeah. Alrighty, on to the Class 6A high school football bracket. If it'll pull up here. There we go. So, there are 4 sections of the bracket. If you haven't really looked at the bracket, it's on the high school league's website. There's 4 main sections. We are on the lower left side, and we are the 1 seed. So your 4 1 seeds are going to be Forest Lake, Rosemount, Centennial, and Maple Grove. We will be playing, if you haven't found out yet, number 8 seeded Coon Rapids at 7 o'clock right here on Friday night. Disclaimer, we do got to throw it out there that we will be doing. We got to double check and make sure that we have all the rights and everything, but there's no reason that we shouldn't be able to. But we'll be doing audio for playoffs.
We will be doing audio only, most likely for the
NSPN has the video
for the playoffs. Yes,
rights for playoffs, but I believe all we have to do is ask Hennon if we have permission to do audio, and he's not going to turn us away.
Right.
So,
I would imagine.
We should be there for the audio deal, and then you can do what everybody else does. One, just listen to it like an old time radio version, or listen to the Vikings game with Paul Allen, or you can do what I do with the Paul Allen experience and pull up the game on your TV through NSPN, mute the volume, and just sync up our broadcast.
Absolutely.
And then it's like you're not missing anything anyways.
Absolutely. And, we will do time checks.
Yeah, we'll do our best. I'll do my best to paint a picture for you. It's always a little bit different when you got to do audio.
Right. So try and sync it up in the beginning, and as long as neither of your streams drop or lag, a lot of times you can just run through. Mm-hmm. I do it on the NFL on certain broadcasts because there are certain broadcasters I will not listen to.
Well, who knows? So, maybe they tune into NSPN and enjoy that commentary more than others.
You never know. Hey, everybody's got their own opinions, and
So down to the bracket breakdown here. We, like I said, will play Coon Rapids, who's the 8th seed, on Friday. But then the next possible game that we would play is the winner of the Edina Farmington game.
Yep.
Which that's the 4 and 5 seed facing off. Also in our bracket, Eden Prairie, Lakeville North, Roseville, and Champlain Park. The Champlain Park, probably the next big one that we'd have to watch out for, and then obviously EP can be a freight train if they want to be.
Yeah, Eden Prairie is one of those.
We might have one of the tougher quadrants of the bracket, having to run through Edina, Eden Prairie, and Champlain Park itself.
I think so. So what I think about this is I think that there is a lot of those middle area teams that you're very evenly matched. It's really hard.
Playoff run. It's
really hard to find out where anybody is. However, I do like the spot where we're at. We kind of got out. Minnetonka got 2 losses late, and then got put in the bracket above us. So they are not in our bracket. Champlain Park has played some pretty good teams, but they've also played some teams close that you're like, I don't know. It's
their one loss was Centennial.
Yeah.
10-31. Centennial took care of business there.
Well, Centennial is number 1 seed.
Team, yeah.
I mean, they're a number 1 seed on the other side of the bracket. Champlain Park did play Anoka close, which a whole bunch of teams played Anoka close. And spoiler alert, this is where I come into my spoiler hot take time. Last week and the week before, when I said there's teams you don't want to play in week 1, Anoka was one of them, and I will go on record. Anoka is the best 7 seed team ever.
Let me add to that real quick. So we just got done talking about Champlain Park getting kind of their butts kicked by Centennial 31-10.
Yep.
And you said, well, Centennial's a 2 seed, or 1 seed, makes a little bit more sense. Anoka's game last week was against Centennial, which they lost, but they lost 21-31.
Right.
So again, taking on another 1 seeded team in the tournament. And again, that's another one of those games that I would look at and say the ball bounces differently a couple of times, and it's a different game.
Right.
I do have some insider information from somebody that I know that is playing at Centennial. It might be one that it wasn't as close as the box score looks. Centennial, I believe the first two plays of the game were like a 60-yard run and a 20-yard run for a touchdown. But nevertheless, I mean, by the end of the game, the score looked a lot closer and respectable. And it's still Anoka. If you'd like to take your prediction, I wholeheartedly agree with you, and I came in saying the same thing today.
If there is any upset in the number 1 and 2 teams in the brackets of all of the brackets, Anoka is my pick for the biggest upset of week 1 in the playoffs. And it is a game that I said, like, everybody can use this as bulletin board material or whatever. Anoka is the best 7 seed team to be in the playoffs as far as being a 7 seed and having the ball bounce the other way multiple times.
Yeah.
And I mean, I will wish Anoka luck. And this says nothing bad about Minnetonka. No. Minnetonka is a great team.
Yep.
And it's a team, if they lose to Anoka, it's no slight whatsoever. Anoka has been a great team that has played a lot of teams really tough. And I mean, losing to 62-61 one week and then losing 42-41 the next week is absolutely ridiculous to not have a win in a season where you have those games. And you also play the number 1 seed on the other side. You also play Champlain Park, who is the number 2 seed in our bracket.
Yeah, and that's the 41-42 game.
Right.
Champlain Park.
And so it's a situation where that team it's one bounce of the football in each one of those games, and they could be sitting 3 and 5 and be in the 4 seed right now instead of being the 7 seed, which I was really happy that the rankings came out and they weren't 8, because they are an 0-8 team, but they are not worthy of an 8 seed. Like, they played an amazing game, and I don't mean to get on the Anoka bandwagon here. I just want to recognize that Anoka is my hot take upset of the week. I'm picking Anoka, and I think Anoka is my hot take for the week.
Well, let's run through some quick picks here. So we got Forest Lake versus Coon Rapids. I'm obviously going to take Forest Lake in that one. Not just the homer pick, but we'll get into a little bit of Coon Rapids tonight yet. But Coon Rapids had a rough season. They didn't play a whole lot of teams that were, they weren't running the same schedule that Anoka was and just running into buzzsaws. But and that's also because Anoka, was in the tournament last year and went deep. Yep. So you're getting those harder teams just because you are a better program, which Forest Lake is going to see a much harder schedule next year. I'm assuming. Yeah. But we get to the game that would set up to be who we play in the second round with Edina and Farmington. You got any hot takes on that one?
Farmington's played some teams tough that I believe they played Centennial tough. And Edina is also one of those teams that have played a pretty tough schedule. I think that could go either way. I'm going with Farmington, though. I'm going with Farmington in the slight upset.
I forget who Edina's quarterback is. I should know that.
But yeah, I'm going with Farmington in a slight upset.
Mason West, that's right. You're going Farmington?
I'm going Farmington in a slight upset.
I think that Mason West is going to be doing everything he can to play out this senior season and end with a bang. I mean, he's got nothing to lose at this point. He's leaving as soon as the season's over to go play hockey for the Blackhawks. So, I mean, I think he's coming back to play his senior season of football. I know the quarterback's going to be motivated, and if there's one player in your team that you want to be motivated, it's going to be your quarterback. I think Mason West is going to edge out Farmington, and I think we're going to be playing Edina here in week 2.
All right, so we're split.
We got split predictions there.
I'm going Farmington. You can go Edina, and we'll see who's. We'll go through this as we get through the playoffs. We'll go through this bracket. Getting to the next one though, Lakeville and EP, Lakeville North. Personally, I'm going to Eden Prairie there. It's tough to pick Lakeville North over Eden Prairie. Eden Prairie's played pretty solid the entire year, and you know they're that division over there. They play tough teams because they're all really good. But Lakeville's had their issue. Like Lakeville North and South both have had programs in the past that, you know, 1 year one is really good. A couple of years ago, both of them were really good. Mm-hmm. And this year, Lakeville North just kind of seemed to drop off a little bit. Lakeville South definitely had a little bit of an advantage over them. So I'm going Eden Prairie there.
Yeah, I'm going to go Eden Prairie for all the exact same reasons that you just said. You made my job a lot easier there because that explanation pretty much summed it up. And then another one that I don't think is real too hard to pick, Roseville and Champlain Park. Roseville, a better team this year than they have been in the past couple years. Same with like Hopkins, but the teams that they have played have not been, I guess, teams that you would really write home about. Trying to get back up Roseville's score from last week.
Champlain, I would
take nothing away from Champlain Park. Champlain Park is the 2 seed in this side of the bracket for a reason.
I mean, I just think that this one is kind of it's Champlain Park. Champlain Park's played tough teams, played them really well. They played Andover, they played Anoka, and
Roseville's only win was Park Cottage Grove.
Yeah, and so you know it's better. They're a better team, but they've
put points on the board this year.
Yeah.
Last year they struggled to even put points on the board.
They got blanked a lot in the previous couple of seasons, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, they had 4 shutout games this year.
Yeah.
They had 3 that they were putting points up. So, or 4 that they put points up.
All right.
When they won.
So we're just going to, are we going to go through the bracket and pick all of them?
Our quadrant.
Our quadrant, or are we going to pick the top one? Because I want to pick the.
Well, sure, we can go do the top too.
I want to do the top because so the way the brackets work is we're in each quadrant, and so we just kind of went over all of the teams that affect us up until the end of the bracket. So where this bottom quadrant, if like say Forest Lake and Champlain Park just win all the way through, it'll be Forest Lake versus Champlain Park, and then we play the teams that go into this next bracket, which is Rosemount is your number 1. Rosemount is your number 1, and Park is your number 8 seed. Minnetonka and Anoka is the 2 and 7 game, and then you also have Osseo, St. Michael, Albertville, Prior Lake, and White Bear Lake, all in the top bracket. I
guess what we could do today is just run through a full bracket prediction, and then we could do
all the way
some early pregame,
like we're doing a full on college bracket.
Well.
All right. Well, then we got
to just go through it quick, and then we can just.
Oh well, then I got to keep track of
start up a little early on a little on-air production meeting.
All right,
but to keep it to the as close to the hour mark as we can, we'll go ahead and run through this quick, and then we'll just do some Coon Rapids stuff Friday going into the game. Okay, so we'll go through top one here. We got Rosemount
versus Park.
and Park.
So
Who do you got?
I got Rosemount.
Same.
Park really struggled, and they had a lot of injury issues. So, and the Park is just one of those teams that they were decimated by injuries in the quarterback area, and when that happens, it's just tough to have any traction.
Osseo STMA. I gotta relook up how they finished.
I'm going Osseo here. It's kind of chalk, but it's 4-5. So
yeah, rankings are 18 and 19.
Right.
I think STMA. So you're gonna go Osseo?
Yep.
I'm gonna go STMA. I think STMA is historically just been a little bit better of a program. They have a worse record than Osseo this year, but I think that they've been a good team before and have been in this tournament before. I mean, every team is in this tournament, but they've been deeper into it many times. And I think that I just think STMA's got it. So I'm going to go STMA. Prior Lake and White Bear Lake.
Well, I've been taking the number one spot. Number one is as far as picks for a while. So you can take the first pick on this game if you want.
Yeah, I mean, this is two teams that we both played, or that we played this year. I do not see White Bear beating Prior Lake.
I would agree.
Prior Lake has been one of the better teams in 6A this year. I would certainly put them in a top 10 situation.
Right.
And White Bear has had an okay season, but not a good enough season to get past Prior Lake, especially on the road in Prior Lake. I don't see him getting past the Lakers.
I do not. I also would agree with that. Prior Lake, I would think, is going to handle White Bear.
Now we got the one we kind of already talked about.
I'm going Anoka.
Anoka and Minnetonka.
It's tough to go and play in Minnetonka, but
If they actually get their quarterback back, that's a huge add, and that basically puts them right back into mid-season form where they were crushing everybody.
Yep.
But I'm with you. I think Anoka.
Wow, that's big.
I think Anoka upsets. I think they're due for a win, and I think it comes in the first round.
I mean,
they might get bounced by Prior Lake round 2, but yeah. I think that there might be a big surprise for that Minnetonka situation.
Yeah,
they have their ducks in a row.
I think that just like going and shutting out teams through an entire game, it's tough to shut out a team for an entire season on wins. And you know, you're looking at this. Anoka is looking at this game right now as this is their championship right now.
Yeah, they got to win.
You got to win, and if you do win, you beat a really good team. So you might not have a win on the season that is, a win on the regular season, but you can take something away from a really tough season that's been super, super unlucky for the Anoka Tornadoes there. And, like I was saying weeks ago, we don't want to play this team right away. And the fact that I'm picking them over Minnetonka, and you followed my lead on that one, it's going to be a tough game, but only for the reasons of it's really hard to blank a team that is that good for an entire season. And Anoka definitely had some playmakers.
They're. I think we have said quite enough about Anoka this year,
right? And
how good of a team they are. Okay, so now back up to the top. We got Rosemount. I said STMA. You said Osseo.
Yep.
Who do you think takes the win out of Rosemount and Osseo?
Rosemount's a really good team. I'm going Rosemount.
Yeah, and I think Rosemount is going to end up beating STMA anyways, so Rosemount will advance there. Prior Lake and Anoka. Who you got?
Prior Lake. If Anoka manages to get through, I don't think that they can beat two good teams.
Play Prior Lake this year? I'm trying to remember. I thought that they may have played them a couple weeks after we did.
It's entirely possible. I don't remember.
They did not.
Okay.
They did not. So because of that, I think we played Prior Lake tough, and Prior Lake played Anoka tough. And then we had to play Anoka tough.
Well, the one thing that I can say is Anoka can score points. Prior Lake is a slower offense, more methodical, and
Anoka had some size too on their defense.
Well, they had, wasn't it like a 6'5" wide receiver, a tight end?
All right.
Are you doing double upsets?
I'm doing double upset. I think Anoka goes on.
I'm going Prior Lake there.
It's the Cinderella story.
I mean, I'm going Prior Lake there.
I think Randy Shaver is going to be having quite the story of Prior Lake going winless throughout the season, but making it to the second round of the playoffs. Forest Lake and Edina. It's not the matchup that I wanted to get in this bracket because Edina is a good football team.
Edina is a good football team, but guess what? So you're Forest Lake Rangers.
Correct. I just wish, I think that we honestly have probably the hardest quadrant. We went from being the easiest.
I disagree. We just counted out. We just counted out the number 2 team that was ranked number 2.
Just our quadrant. Just ours.
Well, that's.
Forest Lake, Edina, Farmington's no joke. Eden Prairie's great, and Champlain Park. There's a couple of buzzsaws in there. Whereas the rest of these ones we were going through, there was one game with Anoka that we were kind of going
yeah, but Minnetonka is a really good team. We picked Anoka to beat a really good team.
Yeah, we did do that.
So we're going.
Are we both going Forest Lake?
I'm going Forest Lake over Edina. It's at home. That makes a huge difference here.
100%. EP Champlain Park.
That was rough. It's going to be at Champlain Park.
Mm-hmm.
If that happens. I don't know. I think I got to go with Eden Prairie.
See, this is where we differ again because I just don't see. I don't see Champlain Park losing. They only lost one game, and it was to the other 1 seed, and they've taken care of business in just about every game that they've played this year, other than the Anoka game. I think I'd move Champlain Park into that upper part of the bracket, so I guess we'll have a split part to the bracket there. So you have back up to the top again, as it sits, Rosemount and Prior Lake.
That is correct.
Who do you think gets through?
I'm going Rosemount.
Okay. I would have Rosemount and Anoka, and I think that is where the Cinderella story ends. I don't see him beating Rosemount. And now back down to what you have as Forest Lake versus Eden Prairie, and I have as Forest Lake versus Champlain Park.
Forest Lake versus Eden Prairie, neutral site game. Pause for
dramatic effect.
Pause for dramatic effect. Forest Lake.
I'm going to choose Forest Lake as well.
Duh, Rangers.
I will say, I think that either one of that matchup, us playing Champlain Park or us playing Eden Prairie, is going to be... Edina will be a nice test. But Edina has not been unbelievable this year.
Right.
Playing either Eden Prairie or Champlin Park, it's going to have to be the most complete game the Rangers have played all season long with next to no mistakes.
Yep. I mean, and the biggest thing is like the pre-snap penalties really, really were killing the Rangers for a bit there. And we can't have any of those.
And either one of them, I think it comes down to Jaden's leg at the end of the game.
Ooh, calling the field goal. Calling the clutch field goal. Calling the clutch field goal winner. All right.
So then that side, we have Rosemount and Forest Lake to get into the state title game. And let's also not glaze over the fact that that neutral site game is the one that Forest Lake hasn't even been able to get to in the last 4 games. That's the one that we've been shooting for.
Yeah.
And it's this year we get out. A lot of people are wondering if we can get out of the second round. I think we get out of the second round. I think we go on closer to the big game. Rosemount versus Forest Lake. What you got?
Where is that one going to be? Does it show the neutral
That
site?
one would be at US Bank Stadium.
That one is at US Bank. At the bank.
Bank or bust.
Bank
is what
or
we've
bust.
Been saying all year.
Bank or bust. All right. So we traveled to they had 2 home games, traveled to Osseo, which is kind of a little bit closer to the Rangers. So we'll have fans the whole way. And I got to imagine that everybody in the Forest Lake Ranger faithful is going to be at the bank. There it is, Forest Lake. Taking them.
I am going to say a hot take here.
Ooh.
I'm looking at Rosemount's schedule, and I'm not going to say they're full-blown frauds,
Wow.
but I don't think that they're nearly as good as what I think that Forest Lake and Rosemount are very much on the same table.
Absolutely.
As far as we're both 2 really, really good teams.
So you just called
Same
Forest Lake
record.
fraudulent as well.
No, because I announced for the team I know what we have. I haven't been able to sit down and watch a Rosemount game. All I'm doing is box score watching here. What I'm thinking is Rosemount also had a schedule this year where I'd say that their schedule was probably on par with the schedule that we ran through, and there were a lot of people saying that Forest Lake didn't deserve the 1 seed based on the schedule that we played. I think if you were going to make that argument for Forest Lake, there's 0 reason that you should not be making the exact same argument for Rosemount. Their 1 loss was Centennial, but other than that, they've played Eastview. They beat Prior Lake, who we also beat. Shakopee's a good team, but they went 5-3. Farmington's a 500 football team. Lakeville North is 1-7. Egan's 2-6. And then Lakeville South, they did get a win, but that was only 5 points. So I think that they're a team that's good enough to beat good teams, like we've seen with Forest Lake, being able to beat a Prior Lake earlier this year. Like, we've had a couple of games that we have played, and some of these other teams that, I mean, I think we would have put up more points than 21 on Lakeville North this year with the way that we played through the Park and Woodbury and some of those other teams. We had 1 game that we took a real bad lapse against Mounds View. I am with you. I think here's my hot take was more the fact that I think that Forest Lake is going to have a bigger test playing against either Eden Prairie or Champlin Park than it's going to be a test to play Rosemount.
Okay, I thought you were going to shock the world.
I wasn't going to say that Rosemount is a bad team. I'm just saying that I think that they are a good team, just like we are a good team. But I think that just like I would say Eden Prairie and Champlin Park, whoever plays us, that game is going to be a tougher game for them than I think playing Rosemount. if that makes sense.
It does. It does make a little sense. It's kind of like the
Rosemont's a good team. I just don't think that Forest Lake is going to have as hard of a time beating Rosemount than they would Eden Prairie or Champion Park.
It's like in the NFL. Sometimes the NFC Championship game is the decider of the Super Bowl because you know that hey, they're just going to walk through.
So we both have Forest Lake going to the chip.
Going to the ship. All right. So
the chip, the ship, the big dance.
So on the other side,
let's roll over and breeze through these quick.
So you got Centennial versus Hopkins. I'm easily going to say that Centennial should take care of business there.
Yeah, we don't need to really go in depth on that.
Shakopee, Stillwater. I am going to say that so Stillwater lost their quarterback midway through the season.
Mm-hmm.
And they dropped a couple of games to teams that they probably could have beaten very easily with their quarterback. However, I am going to say that they kind of looked like they were a little bit more on track last week than they have been. So I'm going Stillwater here against Shakopee.
Oh, wow.
So I'm thinking that Stillwater's on the way up a little bit. I did see a number of really good things last week from Stillwater. Forest Lake really, their defense was just swarming. And if Forest Lake has just a standard defense and doesn't have a whole bunch of tackles for a loss, that game is easily a 3 to 4 point ball game last week.
Yeah.
And I mean, so if you can do that, I'm not going to say that Shakopee's defense is anything crazy to talk about. But I think that Stillwater is making some strides with the players that they have, replacing their quarterback, getting some offensive mojo, I guess you would call it. So I'm calling upset Stillwater over Shakopee.
Okay, well, I'm going to go Shakopee. Shakopee played Stillwater earlier this season, beat them 49-28 at Stillwater. I do agree with what you're saying. I think that this game is going to be a lot closer than the first match, but I think Shakopee will pull through and get that win.
It's tough to be in a team twice in the same season.
It is, but there were still just enough small things that we saw with Stillwater last year that they're just not a ready playoff team right now. And I just think that Shakopee is a little bit more popular.
Understandable.
The team that knocked us out last year against a newcomer, Blaine and Moorhead.
You want me to go first?
Go for it.
I got Blaine. I
got Blaine too.
Moorhead just they've played. I mean, first of all, that Moorhead is in 6A and having to drive that far, like they have a 3-hour ride to every away game that there is. That is just awful. Awful. I would hate for that to be my football life as a junior or
How about
senior.
their game last week? They had to drive from Moorhead to Edina.
Yeah. No thanks. Well, they had Moorhead played Woodbury, I believe, in Woodbury.
Yep.
Like, that's just awful.
They played Tonka in Tonka. They played Eden Prairie in Eden Prairie, and they played Edina at Edina.
Yeah, that's the most awful schedule in the world.
I would say I agree with 6A. We talked about off podcast last week the schedule that North Branch has, and I think that one's a little bit worse.
Right, but I mean, for playing a 6A,
Yes.
like you just move
6A.
into 6A, and hey, guess what? You get to drive 3 hours to every away game.
Yeah.
Get off the bus and then go and play. That just sounds awful.
Yeah.
If I was Moorhead, I would instantly trying to get down to
A league
closer to my high school, because that's just awful.
Yeah, I think the drive and just Blaine is Blaine. Blaine's always
Blaine is always a solid.
They're a solid team. They may not light your hair on fire every single season, but they're never like a holy crap, we're 0-8 somehow. Blaine's always.
It's a good program. Yeah.
They're always right there, if not a little bit above.
And, they've also had a couple of those seasons where.
Well, they broke my heart last year.
They may not be. They've had a couple of those seasons where they may not be as good as a lot of other teams, but their coaching and their program is aware of what it takes to win, which is kind of like, the Steelers of old, not the Steelers of the last 10 years that are 50-50 and get bounced every year in the playoffs. But I think Blaine really has the especially going into the tournament, like has the mindset of, hey, we're not going to look past a game. And that's the biggest thing for all of these teams, like all of these teams that are number one, number two, most of the number threes, there's kind of a big step in between that 3 spot. And then when you get into the 4s, 5s, 6s is all kind of just jumbled together. Mm-hmm. But, there's big expectations and, a lot of times teams can look past another team and especially in that 1 versus 8 scenario. And I mean, we already talked about the one that I think is going to happen, which is probably the only one that's going to happen. But that as far as 2 versus 7, that's a really tough spot to pick a winner. But Blaine over Moorhead, just because they have experience in the tournament, very experienced coaching staff. I like them a lot in this game.
Egan Woodbury.
I don't know. Woodbury has put some stuff on tape that is not very good. They've also put some stuff on tape that is very good. I don't know which Woodbury team you're going to get here. And I guess I should just go back on what I said about a minute and a half ago, that this could be I don't think that this game is going to be a close game. I'm going to say this game is going to be within 4 points. I do think Woodbury will eke out a win. It's going to be like 27-24 Woodbury.
I'm going to take the exact same prediction that you got. Close game and everything. I think that Woodbury has been on a roll as of late, and I think that they walk into the playoffs with that momentum. And I think that there's probably part of them that feels that we got gypped out of getting the 1 seed. And I think Woodbury takes care of business in Egan. Forest Lake has played Egan in the playoffs for two of our 4 years that we've been going now. And Egan, even then, was not anything that really challenged Forest Lake. And if Woodbury comes out playing the way that they've been playing, I think Woodbury gets the win.
Yeah, I think Woodbury gets the win. There is that spot of this could be one of those teams that you look past somebody.
Oh, that's definitely upset alert for that side of the bracket.
100%.
100%. Egan could definitely win that game if Woodbury comes out and decides to play football the way that they did against the Rangers.
Yeah.
100%. I just think that they got too much momentum right now to be slowed down by Egan.
Yeah.
And we got some more obvious ones here with the 1 seed Maple Grove and Eastview.
Maple Grove. That wasn't even a dramatic effect pause. I already thought I had made the pick.
East Ridge and Andover.
That one's a tough one. Andover first year in 6A. Eastridge, and you know what? You go first on this one.
To me, I think that this one is fairly not an easy pick. but it's a little bit easier than I think I would have thought about it a couple weeks ago. Eastridge is getting their quarterback back, from what I hear. And if that is true, pending that piece of news being true, I think Eastridge, I forgot exactly what their quarterback's name is, but he's an unbelievable athlete, football and basketball. He's unstoppable on a basketball court. I think he comes back and just goes ahead and shows Andover what 6A football is all about, especially with the fact that that game is being played at Eastridge. Eastridge is just a hard place to play anyways. So I'm going to go Eastridge. What do you think? The way that you're thinking about this makes me think that you're thinking about an upset.
I've picked a couple.
You have.
Andover's got that championship luck.
They do. They seem to win every time they get into a tournament.
Every time they get into a tournament in whatever sport. Based on nothing else, I'm going Andover.
Andover. All right.
It's really terrible to base it on
hockey.
Hockey.
I think last year they
had a really.
They were in the football tournament last year, I believe.
Yeah, in 5A.
Yeah, did they win it in 5A? Yeah. I don't remember.
They were in the I know they were in the championship game, and I think that was like a last play. There was like a last play or something that game was won in the last play of the game. It was a walk-off for somebody, I believe.
Go back and relook.
So yeah, I'm going Andover. I know that's not a really informed, solid information pick, but you know what? Hey, we're picking brackets. So
Mounds View and Rogers.
I'm going Mounds View.
You're gonna go Mounds View?
Yep.
Let me do 2 seconds of research here before I make my pick. Their losses to. I'm going to go Rogers.
Wow.
Send Mounds View packing.
Wow.
They got lucky with us. Rogers' losses this year are Moorhead, Osseo, Champlin Park, Centennial, and Andover. And they beat Egan, Anoka, and Blaine. And they beat Blaine handedly. Put a goose egg down on Blaine, 20-0. So I think Rogers is a better team than that 6 seed. And I think Mounds View, they got the best of us at their stadium, but I don't think the 3 spot is necessarily warranted.
I don't know.
I think Mounds View is a good team. They're always right in there, but
I don't know. I think that number 3, Okamonru from Mounds View.
Oh, you think Rufus is going to have a big
I think
game?
Rufus is just going to have a monster game. Like that kid, if they give him the ball and they throw him the ball a lot, I don't think you can cover that guy.
All right, and then last one going down the long matchups here is Wayzata and Lakeville South.
Lakeville South?
Yeah,
I got to go Lakeville South. Wayzata has played good teams, but they've also played bad teams within, like, playing down to bad teams is kind of a thing. Like Wayzata's been, competitive with some of these teams, but not had a shot to win the game. And Lakeville South is just a solid program, and I could never just say, hey, I'm going to go against the years of Lakeville South being really good coaching and preparation. Like, that's just a game that I'm never picking an upset there.
Back up to the top, you got Centennial and Stillwater.
Centennial.
I'm going to pencil Centennial in as well because I do not think Shakopee beats Centennial. Blaine and Woodbury.
I got to say that Woodbury's magical carpet ride ends.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I'm going with the Blaine Bengals.
I believe that. I believe that Woodbury is going to kind of come back down to earth a little bit there in round 2. Blaine's going to get through that one. We both have differing opponents for Maple Grove. But do we even need to cover who the opponents are?
I really don't think so.
We got Maple Grove beating Andover or Eastridge, whoever you pick there. So now we got Lakeville South against either Mounds View or Rogers.
Yeah, I'm going Lakeville South.
You can go Lakeville South.
I'm going
again.
Chalk. I'm going Chalk.
Yeah, they didn't play. Yeah, I'm going to go Lakeville South as well. So now back up to the top of the bracket once again. Maybe one of the best rivalries in 6A is Centennial and Blaine. It's like White Bear, Forest Lake, but honestly, I'd say it's probably turned up a notch or two. That's going to be a fun game.
What are you talking about? We got the new rivalry on board here. On our bracket. Forest Lake, Prior Lake is the battle of the lakes. And
yeah, but we don't play each other for the playoffs.
Well, we will.
No,
we won't. No.
They have to play road.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
I was on the wrong side of the bracket.
I think the biggest rivalry game built into the playoffs is probably this one. So Centennial and Blaine, and this one is at Spring Lake Park, so no home field advantage for either one of them.
Spring Lake Park for Centennial and Blaine. It's real close to both of them. Crowd's going to be rocking. I mean, Centennial has been the cream of the crop, I think, as far as playing good teams and playing good teams tough. I'm going Centennial.
You go Centennial. Yeah, I think Centennial has been just running through people this year. I figured they would have played Blaine this season. Yeah, they did already. That game was 28-21, so a close game. But that is why I think I'm going to pick Blaine to upset. And I'm not just trying to get under my wife's skin, who's a graduate in Centennial.
Wow!
But I'm going Blaine. Blaine with the upset.
Is that the first differing bracket carry on that we have disagreed? First one.
As far as what?
The
final
champion.
Four?
Yeah, final four.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
We'll see if
you
can make some big points. Whoever wins that one makes big points for the bracket.
100%. So then we go to Maple Grove and Lakeville South. Who you got?
Maple Grove. Maple Grove is the cream of the crop of 6A. And if they get knocked off, it will be because they did not play to their potential.
Yeah. You know, there's part of me deep down that wants to pencil this in as an upset. Because it's just very hard for a team to go undefeated the entire regular season and then undefeated all the way through the playoff bracket. But I think Maple Grove.
Spoiler alert.
I think Maple Grove gets it.
Oh. See, that's why I did pick them to go undefeated the entire way. Because.
So you have now Centennial and Maple Grove.
Yep.
To get into the ship.
Yep. It's Maple Grove.
You're going Maple Grove.
I'm going Maple Grove into the ship.
As badly as I want to say, Maple Grove gets upset by Blaine. I think it's going to happen.
Ooh. Wow, we are really...
it's just going to be one of those weird games, I think.
You know what? This bracket was pretty close to on point right away, but we really went off the rails in the last 5 minutes. All right.
And I guess my realistic one, I have Maple Grove in the championship. But I saw the opportunity to circle this as Forest Lake Blaine in the championship, which would be the matchup that kicked us out of the playoff bracket last year. And I couldn't not take the chance to say that.
All right.
Some sweet redemption for Forest Lake in the championship.
Well, the sweet redemption for Forest Lake in the championship on my side of the bracket
is beating the best team in the state.
Giving them their one loss, and it ends up becoming the game that wins the championship for Forest Lake.
That'd be quite the story.
So I'm writing a story here, pencil it out. Strip Varsity, watch this because it's probably
will be a laughing stock of Strip Varsity by Thursday afternoon.
Have you seen that? Have you seen Strip Varsity? I mean,
yeah, and I think Forest Lake goes in and loses to Blaine in the championship. No, I'm kidding. I think Forest Lake redemption tour. Somehow we play Blaine in the championship and come out victorious.
I'm going to say Maple Grove, Forest Lake, 19 to 15 final score.
Realistic homer bracket, I'm going to say Forest Lake, Maple Grove in the championship, but I'm not going to pick a victor.
I'm going there.
Call me unfun. It would be like, it would be a bigger, I think if Forest Lake beat Maple Grove in the championship, it would be a bigger upset than Anoka upsetting Minnetonka in the first round.
I don't know. A lot of football to be played.
I think Forest Lake is a better team than Anoka, and the cookie can crumble in multiple different ways. I'm just saying, and I'm not trying to take anything away from us. I'm just saying Maple Grove is a juggernaut.
Absolutely.
Of a football program.
Maple
and
Grove.
It's going to be hard for anybody to beat them.
Maple Grove is a juggernaut of a football team. However, there are things that we're talking about, things that are happening 4 games from now.
Yeah, true. I mean, we both know this bracket means nothing.
This bracket means nothing.
Be torn up by next week.
But the one thing that I can say, and not being a complete homer, I think Forest Lake's defense is so deep. Like, as far as if there is injuries, if somebody does, we hope none of that happens to anybody. But they're a very deep team with a lot of talent, and I really think that, the defense can carry a lot of this as long as the defense plays the way we have seen. And also these guys that are coming up, like Cullen really turned it on in the last 6 games. Mm-hmm. Like the first 2 games, we really didn't know what we had as far as linebackers. This linebacker crew is getting better. And, I really think that as far as a team that has a whole bunch of playmakers that's not really reliant upon one player, like Connor Johnson is very important to this team, and probably the most important person as far as if they're going to win or lose in the playoffs. I also think that with our running game, if there were some hiccups somewhere, if he did have to come out, a half, a quarter, whatever, if that were to happen, I think that Forest Lake can weather that storm.
I think I guess the final thing that I'll say to wrap it up is I think that our whole playoff run comes down to two main things. And unfortunately, it's the two question marks that I have for the team. And that is when we start playing teams like Edina, Eden Prairie, Champlain Park, any of those guys, it is going to be how well can we throw the ball, which we've thrown the ball well this season, but not when it's been like, oh, we need to lean on throwing the ball. So how well can we throw the ball? And that's not just Connor's arm, because he's proven that he's very accurate and he makes good decisions. It's, are we going to be able to give Connor enough time to throw the ball effectively? And then we've had some pretty significant drops throughout the year. A lot more catches than drops, but there's been a few that have been like, what just happened? So I think our passing game on offense is going to be huge because any team that plays us in the playoffs is going to be keen on the run. And then especially when we start playing those teams. And our first big dose of it is going to be against Edina in the second round, because assuming they make it past Farmington, is going to be how good is our secondary and how well do we hold up against the pass if the line is good enough to hold off Howie and Cullen and company. If the Ranger Wrecking Crew's not getting pressure, how good is our secondary to lock the passing game down? I think those are my two big things, and I think if Forest Lake can come through on one, if not both of them, I think we make a deep playoff run. But if we can't throw the ball and we can't defend the pass, I don't know how far we'll make. I don't mean to be doom and gloom.
No,
I'm just saying realistically, I think that it's our playoff run comes down to those two key things.
I think our playoff run comes down to the ability for this defense to hold teams to under 21 points.
Yeah.
And that is 100% on not giving up big plays. The edge contain that we've had, Howie Johnson and Cullen Christensen having those tackles for loss, that is super important. And one of the main reasons why this defense is one of the top ranked defenses in 6A is just because our tackles for a loss are huge. And if you're going to try and run long developing plays, good luck. I know that Tomakung and Westman have looked a little bit maybe susceptible to some longer plays. But let's face it, they've also both just missed a 100%. Couple of interceptions and also just had 3 or 4 penalty calls
that
were iffy. I'm not going to say they were bad. They were not.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that they were not pass interference. I am going to say in the playoffs, I think a lot of those whistles get swallowed because those were just good coverage. And, you're going to let the teams play a little bit. And I think that is going to factor in a little bit too, because as we get into the playoffs, it seems like teams get to be a little bit more physical out on the outside on the boundaries, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And I think that Tomakung can play really well in that kind of a more physical style ball game. And we just have to see if that's how these playoffs go. Cause you never know, like sometimes they might just call everything, but I don't think that that's how this is going to be. I don't think that they want to have a high school football team playoff game come down to a controversial call.
Yeah.
And it's something that granted they are still going to call pass interference, but if it's egregious, they're still going to call it. But a lot of those ones where Tomakung was called, the offensive guy was pushing too. So it's not like it's not like it's just on the defense for pushing and a push off and pass interference. And it seems like in the regular season, like you never get that OPI call or it's always on the defense. And I think in the playoffs, you're going to see that, hey, who actually caused this? Did he push him first or not? Because you're getting the best of the best in officiating every week. So,
yeah. Well, we're going to wrap this one up. All right. That's a lot of content.
Yeah, a lot of content for we kind of went long. We kind of went long with the brackets. Sorry about that to everybody.
I think we'll come in a little early on Friday and try and get some pregame stuff done with Coon Rapids. And then maybe instead of attaching the interview to this one, we'll play it pregame with Brad.
All right.
That way it's less for Paul to edit.
So we are going to have an interview.
Yes.
All right.
We'll do some sort of connection with Brad at some point, and you'll get to hear his comments on how he thinks the postseason is going to go here. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out, and we'll be back to recap next week's game right back here on Thursday of next week. And we'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, this has been the Forest Lake Ranger Report. I'm Joel Geist.
I'm Noah Casa. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Go Rangers.